In the old days, if you had weeds at the edge of your lawn, you had two options. One is to pull them. Ugh. Okay, that's a lot of work, but it does work and it's effective. The other option is just a pair of scissors. This is my grandmother's old rusty pair that I left out in the rain. They also have manual grass trimmers, and you can go along like this and just cut the weeds back. It doesn't kill them, but it does make them look a whole lot more neat. Now, if you don't like all that work of pulling or cutting weeds by hand, there is, of course, the most popular lawn care invention of the last 20 years. It's known as the power line trimmer, or more popularly as the weed whacker. It really blazes through the weeds. There's an electric engine in this one with a string. That's why they call it a string trimmer. And as this whips around, it cuts the weeds, and this string is easy to replace. Now you can see I've got an electric model as opposed to a gas model. There are plenty of gas models. Those are the more popular kind, but I don't like to use those. They're much, much louder. They also, for the most part, use two-stroke engine, which means that you have to mix oil with the gasoline, and they're not very environmentally friendly at all. So I just plug my cord into the wall. This works very easily. It also starts every time. See how easily that starts? Another reason I like to use it. Now, one of the great ways to use your weed whacker is to define the edge between your garden and your lawn. And you can see what I did is I actually tilted the head a little bit like this, because I don't want to make this grass too short because it'll scald it. I want to have it short along the edge. This will actually brown out for a little while, but that's okay because my edge is going to be nice and defined right here, and then the grass is going to get taller so it doesn't turn brown out onto the lawn. Now, one of the great things about weed whackers is when the surface is hard like this stone, you can whack right into the stone and you won't hurt it one bit, and it cleans out the weeds in no time flat. Over here by our rabbit cage, I want to show you an example of what can happen. Now, my son came out with the weed whacker because he wanted to help around the yard. That's a good thing. But he actually, you can see the grass he cut right here before I stopped him, and the line went right in to the stanchion of the rabbit cage and cut right into the wood. Well, your weed whacker is capable of causing great damage to trees, shrubs, and even the foundation of your house. You don't want to weed whack right into the foundation because you can cause permanent damage that can be very costly. Now, weed whackers can also be highly dangerous for the user. If you remember when I was pulling those weeds by hand or cutting them by hand, I was in my shorts and bare feet, which is my preferred way to garden. Well, anytime I take out the weed whacker, I also put on the boots, the long pants, the safety goggles, and the ear protection. Even these electric weed whackers are loud, but more importantly, they can throw rocks a great distance. I would hate to take one off the ankle. Worse yet, I'd hate to take one in the eye. I still see all kinds of kids out there without eye protection or ear protection. It drives me crazy. If you're a parent, make them wear it. And if you're hiring a landscaper, make sure they have the safety equipment too, because you could be liable if they get hurt. Now, out here in the back field, I want to show you one more way to use the weed whacker. This is a tall clump of grass. You might be tempted to come right down here and start cutting out, but actually the weed whacker will bog out and the plant can actually wrap around the cutter head of the weed whacker. It can be very, very frustrating. So what you want to do is you actually want to start cutting at the top of the plant and work your way down. You give me just a second here. I'm going to show you how we do it. Very simple. Now you see how easy that is? Almost down to ground level. I still think the old-fashioned scythe is a little bit quicker, but the truth is weed whackers really are